It is said that the youths are the leaders of tomorrow, but in most African countries, the youths are not regarded as such. And that is why leadership positions in the countries are usually occupied by old men who have been there for decades, with no sign of leaving. However, sometimes, when things are going haywire in the country because of the decisions of these old leaders, a fire is ignited in the hearts of the youths. And before anyone knows it, this fire has spread and grown to become a movement. This is exactly what is happening right now in Kenya. If you are not aware, a strong protest and demonstration is currently going on in Kenya. And this time, it was not organized by adults, but by a group of people in the country, generally known as Gen Z. Born between 1997 and 2012, Kenya's Gen Z are taking the country by storm, reshaping the political landscape in Kenya and making every Kenya politician feel the heat. So why exactly are they protesting? Well, in Kenya, the financial year runs from July to June. So, a finance bill has to be presented to Parliament before the start of the new financial year. This bill lays out the government's fiscal plans for the fiscal ahead. So, for the new financial year, which will run from July 2024 to June 2025, the Kenya Parliament recently released the proposed finance bill. This bill included the government's plan to generate an extra $2.7 billion in taxes to reduce the budget deficit and state borrowing. Taxes are imposed on essential items including bread, vegetable oil, diapers, sanitary pads, and other items. According to the reports, the government imposed these taxes on recommendation from the IMF and World Bank, which has been urging the Kenya government to cut deficits to obtain more funds. As you can imagine, Kenyans did not take the decision lightly and have called for the government to scrap the proposed tax increases, arguing that these will stifle the economy and further burden Kenyans who are already facing a cost of living crisis. However, the interesting thing is that it was Kenya's Gen Z that first started to voice their disapproval of the finance bill. It all began on June 18th after the bill was first published to the public. With the aid of the social media platform TikTok, young content creators began to make short videos expressing their disapproval. One TikTok user, for example, posted a video breaking down the impact of the new taxes on daily essentials. The video quickly garnered thousands of views and sparked a wave of similar content. These clips then spilled over to other platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter. This, of course, helped convey to people across the nation why it is in their favor to rally against this bill. The creators also added personal and emotional touches to their videos that pulled the heartstrings of viewers and helped to mobilize more people. One young protester, in a video viewed over 1 million times, held back tears as she described her family's struggle to make ends meet. The social media platform TikTok was quite instrumental in turning the disapproval and grievances of the people into a revolutionary movement. Hashtags such as #OccupyParliament and #RejectFinanceBill 2024 gathered steam, turning into banners and themes for the protests. Even the organization of the protests happened online. There were messages, videos, and memes on social media encouraging protesters to wear black clothes and show up to protest. At first, the government defended the bill, saying it was necessary to raise additional revenue to reduce Kenya's debt. However, in response to the public outcry and disapproval regarding the bill, the government decided to scrap some contentious taxes, including those on bread, cooking oil, and motor vehicle ownership. But, get this, Kenya Gen Z protesters refused to accept the government's decision and demanded the complete withdrawal of the bill. So, the protests, though peaceful but growing strong, continued again. However, despite the protests, on Tuesday, June 25th, the majority of the members of the Kenya Parliament passed the amended bill, which is currently waiting to be signed into law by President Ruto. But get this, a week before June 25th, Gen Z protesters had circulated a schedule on social media that called for the occupation of Parliament on Tuesday 25th, and the occupation of State House, the President's office, and the residence on Thursday, the 27th. Hence, the TikTok hashtag #OccupyParliament. However, what no one predicted was that the hashtag #OccupyParliament meant that the protesters were going to literally occupy Kenya's parliament, one of the most protected zones in the country. But a few minutes after the amended bill was passed, protesters managed to breach security and gain entry into the bicameral house, leading to chaotic and unprecedented scenes. Initially, they gathered along City Hall Way, but then charged Parliament Road, which makes one wonder how they managed to overpower the police and gain access to the highly secured area. Anyways, within minutes, the youth breached the exterior gate adjacent to the Jomo Kenyatta Mausoleum and divided into groups, wreaking havoc inside Parliament. One group targeted the Senate chambers, causing widespread damage by shattering windows, destroying furniture, and removing decorative fixtures. Although they attempted to gain access to the house, the locked doors thwarted their efforts. Another group managed to enter the National Assembly chambers, which were open at the time. One protester speaking from the speaker's seat said, "Mr. Speaker, sir, I am here to address you. You must go. Ruto must go. We are here, and we are going nowhere. We are actually going to sleep here. We don't fear you guys. You are hypocrites." A third group raided the dining area, helping themselves to the arranged buffet for MPs who had just exited the chambers after passing the Finance Bill 2024. The demonstrators, lacking cutlery, ate with their hands as parliamentary staff fled for safety. "We don't fear you. We will eat because these are our taxes. We told you we would be here no matter what," one protester was heard shouting. The situation further escalated as protesters vandalized windows and set fire to the new wing of the Parliament building, causing significant damage as Kenya MPs and Parliament staff scrambled for safety. However, the situation came to a head when the police were deployed to deal with the protesters. As you can imagine, the police fired rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse the crowds. Gunshots were also fired, and according to the reports, at least 13 people were killed and 31 others were wounded. The violence by the police and the process in Kenya has attracted international attention. Ugandan opposition leader Bobi Wine and South Africa's Julius Malema expressed their support for the protest carried out by Gen Z. Even former President Barack Obama's sister Alma was tear-gassed during her participation in the protests, which were broadcast live on television. Lawyers and human rights groups have expressed concern over the use of live ammunition to quell the riots and reports of arbitrary arrests and intimidation of activists. Reports emerged of at least 5 prominent social media users, including Gabriel Oguta, being abducted at dawn hours before the demonstrations. Now, what was the response of President Ruto regarding the situation? In an address on Tuesday evening, President William Ruto said all means would be deployed to thwart any attempts by dangerous criminals to undermine the security and stability of our country. Ruto also added, "It is not in order or even conceivable that criminals pretending to be peaceful protesters can rain terror against the people, their elected representatives, and the institutions established under our Constitution and expect to go scot-free." He also revealed that he has deployed the military to quell the protests. However, as heavily armed officers patrolled the streets of the capital Nairobi on Wednesday, Kenyan Gen Z protesters have vowed to continue their demonstrations against the new tax hikes, despite the fact that some people have been killed and others wounded. The protesters took to X to confirm this with the hashtag #TupatanaThursday, or "See You on Thursday," in a mix of Swahili and English. The protesters also focused on Ruto's speech after the clashes, in which he said the attack on Parliament was the work of criminals pretending to be peaceful protesters. "Good morning, fellow criminals, Tupatane Thursday to do what criminals do," one X user posted. Another protester, Wellington Ogola, said he would head back out onto the streets. "It's our right to demonstrate. We are just expressing ourselves," he told Reuters as he walked through downtown Nairobi, where the smell of tear gas lingered in the air. So what has been the impact of this protest carried out by Kenya Gen Z? The protests have brought attention to the broader socio-economic challenges facing Kenya. The existing economic struggles have come to the fore, prompting widespread public outcry. The movement has also put the growing discontent among the youth regarding unemployment, inflation, and government accountability on full display. More than that, the protest has managed to bring disengaged youth back into the fold of active politics. The interesting thing is that support from global communities has put additional pressure on the Kenyan government to address the protesters' demands. President William Ruto, who had earlier dismissed the protesters as clueless, has promised to negotiate with them. What do you think about the protest? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.